G'day guys, ZiggyD here and welcome back to the Avorion Survival Guide. In this episode I'm going to be covering everything you need to know about trading. So this is going to be a trading dedicated episode, though we do have a battle raging in the background. We're just going to ignore that for now. I'm going to ignore that for now and focus on some trading action. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to go about trading, both with and without trading upgrade systems, and what the trading upgrade systems will give you in terms of improving your trading ability. Trading is an excellent and very safe way to make credits in this game. Whether it's going to be interesting or not to you is a matter of personal taste. You can go completely without trading in this game, or you could engage almost entirely in trading as your sole way of making credits. So before we jump into how to trade, there are three things that will impact your overall profitability in terms of trading as a whole, and this is what you can control in your ship. So the first thing is going to be cargo space. How much cargo you can carry will very directly impact how much money you can make trading. The more cargo you can haul, the more stuff you can sell when you find a place that wants to buy that stuff, and the more money you're going to make. The next thing is the speed of your ship, so how fast you can move from station to station, but also more importantly is how far you can actually jump in hyperspace. So hyperspace ship system upgrades that can allow you to jump further and have less cooldown will increase your trading speed as you can cover more systems and find systems with various different trading posts and factories and things like that, and jump between them more quickly and jump between ones that are further apart to exploit different trading opportunities. And then finally, your actual trade systems, your improved trading system upgrade chips. These will impact how much you can profit you can make, because it'll make it much easier to locate better trade offers and better trade opportunities initially in the sector that you're in, and eventually as you get better improved trading systems across multiple sectors. So to begin with, we're not actually going to use the improved trading system that we found in an earlier episode, because I want to show you guys right from the very bare bones, if you want to start trading right as you build your first ship, how you go about doing that without any trade upgrades. It can be done, it's not recommended. I would recommend starting trading once you have a green uncommon improved trading system, because this makes it a lot easier, and the higher the better. If you can get a better one than this, even better. Nonetheless, I will show you guys how to go about trading without one of these, so you can kind of get like the basic premise of trading in this game. So the first thing to know is that trading mostly makes logical sense in this game. There is an intelligent supply and demand economy in this game, and different factories that would require raw input that you would expect, such as something that makes tools might need metal to make those tools out of. And then something that would logically use those tools, like some sort of equipment dock or something like that, would want to purchase those tools, and so on. You'll also get things that, like, where you expect to see like a habitat that contains people. Those will want food and drink and other luxury items, for example. And there's this whole input process that goes up and up and up until you get to really fancy things like war robots and anti-grav generators and things like that. Trading also plays a bit of an important role much later on in the game when we start to build our own turrets as well, because you'll be looking for different things like laser modulators and ammunition and stuff to construct your turrets. Though that said, we'll probably leave turret construction for a later episode. That's a bit more of a mid to late game endeavor. Okay, so now let's talk about how do we locate trade opportunities without a trading chip. As I said, it's a bit more of a nightmare than if you actually have a good trading chip, because a trading chip will allow you to list all of the trades available in the sector that you're in without needing to manually look at each station. Nonetheless, we can go ahead and do that. So what we can do is take a look at our actual sector map here by pressing the M key, bringing this up and mousing over the sector that we're in, or other nearby sectors, and we can see what things exist in this sector. So this is a pretty busy sector, and this is an ideal spot to start trading. Something that has potentially multiple trading posts, different factories, and different things that will require raw input. So as we go through this list, we have equipment docks and resource depots, we have repair docks. These sorts of things are going to potentially need like supplies that would be used to repair ships, for example. A casino is probably going to want things like liquor. And then we've got some raw kind of outputty things that are kind of lower in the supply chain, like for example, a tools factory. Military outpost probably wants things like ammunition. A meat factory probably wants cattle and will output meat, and so on. And trading posts are a bit of a catch-all, so trading posts are a bit more randomized in terms of what they'll be buying and selling, but they're an excellent spot to find interesting opportunities. So we can rotate through the things in our sector with the G key. If you want, it'll highlight any friendlies in the sector. Otherwise, you can just look for the icons on the corners, on the edges of your screen. So as we look towards things, we can find out what these are. There's a meat factory over here, and we've got a tool factory in front of us. So then once we've located these things, we can press F to talk to them. and then go to the buy, sell goods menu. Sometimes you'll only be able to sell goods because they might not be offering anything to buy, or they're not selling things themselves, but they're looking to buy materials to carry out their function. So this is a tool factory, right? It wants steel, platinum, silver, aluminium, and energy cells in order to produce tools. And then tools, it has a crap load of tools, because that's basically what this factory does, is just produces tools. So based on this, you can assume that a tool factory probably sells its tools pretty cheaply. And then places that have a high demand for tools will buy their tools for a higher price. Makes sense, right? So later on, once you have the trading system upgrades, you can actually see that, and in terms of a percentage difference in prices. But for now, we kind of need to just think about this, what makes sense logically speaking. Now we can see tools here cost 116 credits. Okay, so now let's think about what might need tools in the area. So we can check a few things. We can check things like the shipyard, sell goods. Do these guys want tools? It doesn't look like they do. Okay, so what about this equipment dock next to it here? Buy, sell goods. And these guys do want tools. So they'll actually pay up to 293 credits for tools. That's almost 3 times what the tool factory was selling them for. So we've already found one in-system, one in-sector trade opportunity. So then what we need to look at is a few other elements to assess the profitability of a potential trade that we've found. Firstly, the credit differential. We know that they'll cost about 100 credits to purchase, and we can sell them for about 300. So that's excellent. It's more than double profit. Now, however, there's other things we want to consider. The volume, for example. How much volume in your cargo bay do tools take up? Because sometimes you might see something that looks like a pretty good offer, but it might take like 1.5 volume. So something that's worth like 100 credits but takes 2 volume is only 50 credits per volume. So you got to think about this in terms of credits per volume. Now tools, thankfully, are 0.4 volume. The other thing you want to consider, the third and final thing, is supply and demand. So firstly, how many tools are on offer? So the tool factory was over here. Well, the tool factory has 6,000 tools, so more tools than we could probably carry. However, the equipment dock, unfortunately, only wants to buy 6 tools. So we could carry, at max, 6 tools to this equipment dock, sell them, and then they wouldn't want any more. These guys only want a few tools. They don't really need that much, so it's not really worth our time to make this trade. We'd only make, 500, 600 credits or something like that. Alright, so that one's no good. Carrying 6 tools is not hardly going to be worth our time. Alright, so trading posts are an interesting one. As I said, they're kind of random in what they buy and sell. We could take a look at what the trading post is looking to buy. So sell to station, and have a bit of a look through here. Do we see tools? No, we don't see any tools. However, down the bottom here, we see they're buying meat. They're actually buying meat for 19 credits, and they have a very big potential demand. So you can see their current stock is 263, and the amount of stock that they're willing to hold is 15,300. So we could sell upwards of 15,000 meat to the trading post. Now, we just so happen to remember that there was actually a meat factory here, right there. We can see what sort of meat they have on hand. 21,000 meat. Now, they're selling meat at 9 credits, so we can go back and check here. And these guys are buying meat at 19 credits, so about double profit. Alright, what about the volume? Half volume? Not too bad. This isn't a particularly high value trade, but this might be a good starting one before we have a chip. Now, before we can do any trading, obviously we need to get a cargo bay. In the last episode when I talked about upgrading a ship, I mentioned that cargo bays are a bit more efficient if they're larger cargo bays rather than a bunch of smaller ones. So keep that in mind when you're adding them. But as much cargo capacity as possible we're going to go for here. So titanium is lighter, so I'm going to make a titanium cargo bay here first where I can. But we're not going to be able to, I don't actually have much titanium on hand, so I'll do what I can in terms of titanium, but we're probably going to need to add an iron cargo bay as well, which is going to be a little heavy, but that's alright. That's alright. Alright, I've added a titanium cargo bay there, and we'll go ahead and add an iron cargo bay as well. Keep in mind that as you expand the volume of your ship, you're probably going to need more mechanics to look after that as well. Let's go ahead and add that. Alright, so that gives us 300 cargo hold. We probably want to add more so that we can carry more, because again, this is going to be a high volume trade with low value cargo, so the more space we have, the more money we can make out of this trade. But however, the more cargo bays we add, the heavier our ship is going to become, the worse it's going to maneuver, and the more mechanics and things like that we're going to need as well. Now you can go ahead and remove cargo bays at any point if you like, so that's not too big an issue. You can get rid of these later, but you will still need the mechanics to look after them in the meantime. And of course, needing more mechanics means we're also going to need more sergeants to look after those mechanics as well. So first things first, I'm probably going to have to try and look for enough mechanics to look after my new cargo bays here. I added a little bit of extra cargo bay here. I will go ahead and merge these so it's a bit more efficient. Alright, and that gives us a 428 cargo hold. That'll get us started. Alright, the trading post has some mechanics, so we'll head there. And, well, you know what? We'll go buy some meat on the way, because the meat factory is a little closer. So we'll complete our first basic trade, and then we'll move on to a bit more advanced trading using the actual trading chips, which will help us locate some more valuable and more profitable trades. Do pay attention when you strap your big cargo bays on your ship to how your various stats might have changed. You might have lost a lot of braking thrust, for example, so if you're used to stopping on a dime and you've strapped a big cargo bay, just keep in mind that it might take you a bit longer to stop. Your inertia dampeners might not be as effective as they once were. Alright, so we'll move into docking range here with the meat factory, have them selected and move up to within about, a couple meters of a dock. I think it's like 100 meters, a bit under 100 meters, and you usually get there. And then we're going to buy simply as much meat as we can. So 9 credits here, we can afford to buy a decent amount. We have enough credits to do this. We can hold up to 856, so we can just go ahead and type 999 and it'll actually cap out with how much we can buy. So now we have 856 meat. Now, an interesting other kind of factor here is you can actually see what the average price of a product is once you begin carrying it. Once you get more advanced trading systems, you'll be able to see the comparison of a price to the average price. But before you have a trading system, if you want to find the average price of something, you actually need to hold some of it so that you can see. At least to my knowledge, I haven't figured out another way of doing this, but we can see the average price of meat is 13 credits. And then the meat factory sells them for 9 credits because it's a meat factory, it wants to offload its, the things that it produces, meat and leather. And then what we can see is that this trading post has a high demand for meat. There's probably a lot of people, I guess, that want meat, and the trading post acts as an intermediary for that. It's funny that these are so close, but sometimes it'll happen. Maybe in some cases you might need to jump between multiple systems in order to find a lucrative trade, but we found a pretty close one here. These guys are paying 19, so these guys are paying a decent amount over market price, which is 13 credits. So under market price for the meat factory and over market price for the trading post in this case. Another instance might be like maybe a habitat or a casino or something might want to purchase meat as well. But for now, we're going to head over to the trading post, and we need to also get some mechanics, so we'll need to move quickly. And then we can sell our meat and make our first load of money. Alright, so pulling in at the trading post, let's go ahead and get a couple of mechanics first, since we're going to need some extras. And that should just about sort us out with our new cargo. And once we remove that, we'll have extra mechanics, but that's okay. We'll need them to scale up anyway. And then we can go ahead and sell our meat. So we can just enter 999 again until we sell our 856 meat. Now we spent 7,704 credits and we made 16,264 credits. So not too bad, over double our amount. Now that's not a lot of credits though, but it also didn't take us very long. That's like a 1-minute trade. So you could run this a few times. You could purchase some resources and upgrade your cargo bay, build a really big cargo bay and do some like kind of hauls between for things like this and make a decent amount of money. But that's not like a huge kind of profit thing, and that's because the relative credits to volume ratio here is not that high, right? Especially when you go ahead and compare it to things like a computation mainframe, which has 1 volume per, but 1 volume of computation mainframes is 48,000 credits. So if we could find a place that sold computation mainframes for significantly under this price, let's say like 30,000 credits, and then we could sell them here for 48,000 credits, then the amount of computation mainframes we could hold, presuming we had enough money to purchase enough to fill our cargo holds, would be very profitable. So you want to find something that's going to fill your cargo holds, but also you're investing a lot of your credits into it. Of course, that can be a risk if you happen to get blown up along the way, so be careful. But trading is fairly safe as long as you play smart and avoid any pirates, or don't fire your weapons around Zotan, and try not to crash into a station as you go to dock. As long as you avoid those things, then if your cargo hold is full of basically the max amount of money you can spend, and then making a good profit margin on that as well, that's when you're going to make the really big money. So basically at this point, buying 2 computation mainframes, or let's say we bought them for like 30k, so we bought like 3 or 4 computation mainframes and selling them, we would make a much larger amount of money. We'd be accelerating our credit growth a lot faster than making a bunch of small meat trades. Nonetheless, that was a profitable meat trade, so I can't really complain. Alright, I'll add a bit more cargo hold there. Ship's gonna be a little sluggish, but that's alright, that's alright. We only need to move around stations, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, the other thing you can do, of course, is add system components that increase your cargo hold, and this can allow you to carry more goods without needing to add more mass to your ship, so this can be quite helpful. However, these do usually take a fair bit of energy consumption, so we can see here is a very low kind of grade one. However, it does give us 105 additional cargo hold. As long as we can support the energy for that, which we can right now, and we could also take it out if we needed to make a hyperspace warp, and if our energy requirements were too high after that, we could just take that out temporarily. But that'll allow us to haul a bit of cargo. The issue is if you take that out and you have extra, let's say, how much cargo can I hold right now? 638. If I had 638 and I took that out, 100 of my cargo would just be dumped into space. So be careful about taking those out if you do have cargo on board. So we'll go ahead and run with this now. Adding these extra cargo bays below us actually unlocked an extra ship upgrade as well that we can take advantage of while trading here with this cargo upgrade Mark II. Alright, so now we're going to start using the improved trading system so we can get some easier trades that are going to be worth a bit more. So the first improved trading system, the common ones, the white or grey ones you'll find, will just do one thing, and that's basically give you this menu, access to this trading overview menu. And this will allow you to see a list of the buying and selling in your sector. Now you can sort these by name, and you can also, if you're holding a bunch of different types of cargo, you can also click the U one here to see what you have and compare it against what stations are buying those things. There's quite a lot of war going on in the background at the moment. It's okay. None of our business. But higher trade chips, and the one that we have right now, and the reason I recommend waiting for a green one at least, is because what that'll do is that'll give us the percentage margins on these goods. So we can see here, if we go to the selling stations, we can see here that these are all buying things for varying amounts, right? So the tool factory is buying energy cells, but they're actually buying it 18% under market price, which is not a good trade, basically. However, let's say the military outpost has a really high demand for guns. They have no guns right now, and they will pay 50% over market price. So they're paying 1,600 credits for guns. So that could be potentially pretty lucrative if we could find a place that was selling guns. They're also buying war robots, a very high value trade, at 50% over market value as well. So this is exceedingly helpful to be able to see this all listed out, and you can actually scroll through everything that's currently available here. Now, here's the problem that I've found with the green chips, is that it doesn't allow you to sort by this. Once you get higher tier chips, you'll be able to actually sort by this, and that's not listed on the chips, but something I've noticed is that higher rarity ones allow you to sort by this percentage margin, and that's pretty handy because then you can sort it so that all of the highest potential margins are at the top. If you don't have that, then you'll just need to scroll through and try and eyeball the decent looking ones, but it's still a lot easier than going to each station and scanning them and talking to them and asking what they want. Okay, so once you have a chip like this, the best thing to do is going to be to move yourself to a busy sector, like the one that we're in right here. A sector that has a whole bunch of different factories and mines and trading posts and different docks and stuff like that. Those are going to be the ones that are easiest to get started in, because as much as possible with these low tier trading chips, you want to try and do a lot of in-sector trading to get yourself started. Once you get a bit of money and once you get some higher end trading chips, you'll be able to do cross-sector trading a lot easier. So the higher trade chips, actually the higher rarity trade chips, will actually allow you to see trading offers, right? So potential trade routes, and there'll be a third menu here, trade routes, initially in the sector that you're in, so it'll be like, hey, the system notices, as in your ship system, notices that this place really wants ammunition, and this place over here is selling ammunition in the same system, and here's the margin on that. So you can see the price difference and be like, hey, that's actually pretty good. All you'll need to do is check the supply and demand and how much they can actually hold, and then you'll be able to establish whether that's worth running or not. And then higher version of the trade chips again, so higher rarity trade chips again, will actually allow you to do that same thing, view deals across different sectors. So you can jump between multiple sectors, so busy ones like this, you could jump between like up to 3 busy ones like this, and see potential trade routes between those, and the system will automatically calculate that for you, which makes trading a lot easier and a lot more profitable, because when you can find something that's like minus 50% below market price being sold in one sector over here, and then you can find another sector over here that's buying them for 50% above market price, and if you have a good enough hyperspace jump to make that in one jump, well, then you're making some serious money. So that's the sort of thing you're looking for there. For now though, what we're going to look for is some in-system opportunities here using this chip so we can make a bit of money, and then we can see if we can purchase a better chip than what we're using right now. So scrolling through this list, I'm looking for 2 things. I'm looking for things that have a decent amount of stock, or if they don't have a decent amount of stock, they're at least worth a lot. So there's 95 stock here, which is not a lot, but they're worth 6,000 credits each, so that's pretty good. And then we're looking for the percentage. So for buying, we obviously want to be under market value. So the drone factory is selling drones. It's got 95 drones for minus 32% below market value. So then what we could do is be like, okay, that's a potential one. Is anywhere here buying drones? We could sort by name to make this a little easier. That would be smart. We can actually do that. So sorting by name, we see that under D here, there is no one purchasing drones in this sector. So we can go back to the bifurcations and look for something else. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is we're going to look for potential trades here in this very sector. Okay, so I've had a little bit of a look in this sector, and what I've noticed is that there's nothing really in here that is high enough value or high enough stock and supply and demand for us to want to trade within this sector. So then the second thing we can do, there's a kind of a few different approaches you can take here. You can play the kind of roleplay game of a roaming merchant, where what you do is when you jump into a sector, you find their best deal. What is their juiciest deal? So we look for like the thing that has the best margin on it. So we're seeing something like, let's go minus 38% on rice, but it's a bit of a low volume cargo. Minus 41% on tools. I mean, tools might be one of the best ones. There is some higher value things. Maybe drones would be the way to go, right? Drones do take a lot of volume though, so we wouldn't be able to carry too many drones, but they're at least decent. So it's like, what, 666 per volume? That's a bit better still than doing tools or something. And you know, this is like this is pretty good, minus 32% under. So what we could do is we could purchase a bunch of drones, and then just jump between a few sectors, looking for more deals, taking them if we have enough cargo space, and offloading deals whenever we can. And that's actually a really fun way to play, because it's this really kind of exploratory trading kind of thing. And what we actually do need to do is we do need to explore, because we don't have that many sectors revealed right now, so we can't really see too many places that are offering potential trades that we can take advantage of right now. We only know one other sector here. We know a shipyard, and we know this place that has basically just an ore mine, so maybe there's some potential there for the ore mine, but we probably want to explore some other sectors. The thing to consider though is if you do grab a bunch of really high value cargo that not many places have demand for, then you could be stuck with that cargo for quite a while, and that can be a bit of a problem. So stuff that is easy to move is going to be a little safer in that regard. Actually, on second look, I did notice one trade that escaped me earlier, and that's why it's a bit difficult when you don't have the more advanced chips that show you these trades and also show you this, so it can be a little bit of Where's Waldo here. But I did notice that beer is being sold by a trading post here in this sector for minus 11%. This one escaped my eyes because I wasn't looking at ones this low, but it's 278 credits, while the casino actually wants to buy a beer for 28% above, which is 400 credits. So that's still a pretty decent margin. Not to mention that beer is only half a volume per case of beer, and there's a pretty decent stock here and very decent demand at the casino. So we could basically buy all of their stock and sell it at the casino. Well, we'll be able to probably get like 700 or something with our current cargo bay. So let's go ahead and make that trade. That's a pretty nice one. So we're going to head over to the trading post, which is actually, we're at the trading post, which is very convenient. And we'll go ahead and buy as much beer as we can. Oh yes, the beer wagon is pulling in. Let's go ahead and get as much beer as we can. Looks like we can only afford, credit-wise, 386 of this, which is probably going to be pretty good for us. So we spent all 107,000 of our credits, basically. So we've got to get this beer there safely, guys. Alright, we're going to go sell to the stations. I'm going to locate this casino using this handy little eyeball tool here. Very, very handy. And it's 100 kilometers away. It's on the other side of the sector. So we're going to have to dodge some Zotan battles and stuff that are going on in the sector, and we'll just make sure we don't fly into anything. But we should be able to make this trade and almost double our money. It's runs like this when you're going from one side of the sector to the other, where I mentioned the speed of your vessel plays a role in your profitability, because if it takes you like 5 minutes to get across the sector, then that's kind of eating into your profits. So strapping a big juicy engine on and having a nice light ship that just has a lot of cargo capacity is kind of what you want to design if you want to go full dedicated trading mode. Alright, we've made our way to the casino. Battery just ran down as well, so ran out of afterburners. And we'll go ahead and pull in and dock over here. So we spent about 107,000 on beer, all of our credits basically, and we sold it for 155,000. Got a merchant achievement too, nice. So there we go, we grew our money by about 50,000 credits, not too bad. Now because there's actually a fair bit more demand here, we could run this trade several times to get some more profit. Alright, so I'm going to do 1 or 2 more beer runs to build up our credits a little bit, because at this point we're kind of capped by how much purchasing power we have, right? So we need to get that purchasing power up. We have enough cargo space to the point where we couldn't actually fill up our cargo space because we just couldn't purchase enough beer to make a single run. So I'm going to get ourselves a little bit more starting capital so that we'll be able to purchase a bit more goods for some more lucrative trade runs as we move forwards. I really got to learn my new braking power with these heavy cargo bays on the bottom of my ship. It'd be nice if we could buy some more titanium so I can have some lighter cargo. Alright, let's purchase as much beer as we can once again, because we know that the supply can still hold quite a lot. This time we can buy 555 beer, 155,000 credits, leaving us with only 18 remaining. And then we'll go sell this back to the casino on the other side. We do have some bandits. We definitely don't want to engage the bandits when we're holding 555 beer, because if our ship gets exploded, then we won't get reimbursed for that cargo. We could potentially get back and pick it up with another ship after we built another one, but that could be a little bit of a setback, so we're going to go ahead and avoid that if possible. I've mentioned this in other episodes several times, but again, the #1 rule when approaching a station or an asteroid or anything else that you could collide with and die is to aim for the sides or above and below it and not directly at it. It's very easy when you've been trading for a little while to forget that and just end up flying into a station. I remember I crashed one of my expensive ships into a research station I was going to dock with, and it exploded. I also lost some faction reputation as well. Okay, let's go ahead and sell our 555 beer now. We're at 155,000 credits, and that gets us to 214,000 credits. Not too bad, so our money's going up pretty quickly here. The only thing about this trade that we're making here, and we could run it several more times, the profit margins are decent, but they're not as good as they could be, right? If we actually look at our trading chip again, we can see that the beer is only 9% under market value at this point. So not all that good, and there's only another 656, so we'd probably actually wipe out their stock with this last trade here. And so it's only 9% under market value, I think it was 11% before, and the casino's only paying 16% above market value, so those margins are getting pretty slim now, probably worth moving on to a new trade. Alright, before we leave the sector and explore for other trade opportunities, I'm just going to see if there's any particularly good deals here to take. There is some very high volume, low value deals that are pretty good, pretty good under market value. Tools probably being one of the best here, but in my experience, tools are difficult to sell in decent quantities. Like, for example, we saw that equipment dock wanted tools, but they only wanted like 6 of them, so if we bought like 1,000 tools, we could have a bit of a problem in terms of actually selling them, if we can only sell them at like 6 at a time, so it's a bit of a risky one to carry. So for now, I don't think there's any particularly good deals here to take with us to play the roving trader thing, though I think that roving trader playstyle is very fun, because it allows you to basically pick up good deals whenever you see them, and just sell them whenever you see good opportunities, and you can do that while you're moving towards the center of the galaxy, basically, just jump like sector to sector, selling and buying as you go. Very fun playstyle if you're into the trading thing. For now though, I'm going to take this west-southwest gate over to this unknown energy signature there and see if we have any more trading opportunities over there. Also, we're starting to look for, now that we have a good amount over 100,000 credits, we're starting to look for an more advanced trading chip as well. Though of course if we spend all our credits on that, we won't have any capital to buy any more trades with, and we'll have to work our way back up from the bottom. So we probably want a decent amount, a little bit of a margin on money there for us to do that with. Alright, let's go ahead and take this gate to a new sector and see what new trading opportunities await us. Unfortunately, that'll be nothing because this is just an empty nebula. But we can jump to another one of these sectors and see what's available in them. Okay, here we go. This is what we're looking for. Now we have a sector that has a lot of things in it, and potentially some high value stuff. High capacity lenses, Gauss rails, and a turret factory. That's actually quite interesting. There's some kind of synergizing opportunities here. We've also got like a military outpost, power unit factories, chemical factories, equipment docks. Some interesting opportunities. Now, one thing you can do is if you're going to be jumping around a few sectors before you get some of those advanced trading chips that will record potential trades for you, what you can do is take screenshots, you know, look for what stations in your sector are buying. So we can go to this menu here, like sell to stations. And then if you have a chip that allows you to sort by this, then go ahead and do that. But look for good value ones, and then take a screenshot of that page. So like, okay, there's some pretty good ones here. Looks like these guys, the Gauss and power unit factories, are paying a lot for energy cells. So if we knew that there was an energy cell manufacturer over there, or something like that, or we could take a screenshot of this, and then when we locate an energy cell manufacturer, we can be like, hey, I know just where. Let me just go through my screenshots real quick. I know just where we can sell these. You locate this screenshot. Make sure you include your location in the screenshot, so we can see up there we're in Illusional Downfall Gamma. Though it's not too bad, because you can just kind of be like, okay, there was like a military one, or you can record the location of this, or what you can actually use as a search tool here. So we're like, okay, it was a high capacity lens factory or something like that. You can actually type that in here. If you ever want to find anything, it'll actually highlight it. So if you want to find shipyards, for example, where's the closest shipyard? This is a pretty handy tool. You can type in shipyard just there, and it'll actually show any zones with shipyards in them. So very nice. Now, I've already kind of eyeballed interesting opportunities in here, because we know there's some places that really want energy cells, power unit and Gauss rail factories. They currently have none. They want a bunch, and there is an energy cell generator in here, I believe. Did I see that? I feel like I saw that. Power unit factory might not be exactly what we're looking for. Let's double check here. So these guys are looking for specifically energy cells, and they're paying a lot for them. Let's see if there's any energy cells in here. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there are. It looks like there's energy generators is what's being produced at the trading post here. Let's see what else is here. Power unit factory is producing actual power units, so a different object entirely. So not exactly what we're looking for. Also, they're not really selling them for a good rate either. Now, however, I have noticed some other potential opportunities in here, because there's some interesting synergy. There's a lot of military stuff going on in this sector. We've got a military outpost, we've got turret factories, we've got Gauss rails and high-capacity lenses for lasers and stuff like that. So we can maybe find some interesting opportunities in here. Okay, so we can see the chemical factory has some excellent margins on chemicals and also on acids and adhesives. So we can see if there's any acid, adhesive, or chemicals in demand. Looks like the trading post actually is demanding adhesive, so that's not too bad. I don't see any acid. What about chemicals? Can we see any demand for chemicals? Can't see any demand for chemicals. So let's have a look at this adhesive one a little bit then. So these guys are paying 26 above market. They have plenty of inventory available, like plenty of stock space available. Plus 26, and the chemical factory is selling it for minus 44. It's also a pretty good credit to volume ratio. That's 800 credits per one volume, because it's only a quarter volume each. And these guys have 1400, so I think that's our trade, guys. Chemical Factory S to the trading post. Not too bad. Alright, let's go ahead and buy some adhesive. Let's buy as much as we can. Looks like we can actually buy more than they're offering, so we can just buy them out of stock then. So let's go ahead and do that. We can buy 1,065 of that is what we can actually afford. We can hold more than that, but we'll buy as much as we can afford. And then let's go ahead and sell that. So what place wanted to buy that? Looks like the trading post wants to buy that. And we could check if there's any other competing offers. Sometimes you'll have multiple places that wouldn't buy it. And if you remember that there was another sector that really wanted that, then you could alternatively, if the rates were better, jump over and sell it in that sector instead. But the trading post is a pretty decent margin here. It's only 18 kilometers away as well, which is really convenient. So we can make at least one pretty high profit trade here. Not bad. GG, easy monies. There we go, moving into dock. Let's go ahead and sell that, 1,065. And there we go, we now have 484,000 credits. Not a bad jump right there. What were we at before, like 250,000 or something, if I recall correctly? That's a pretty good jump in profit. Now, something to keep in mind so you don't kind of get a little bit confused in your mind when you're looking at this stuff is that places that sell stuff won't buy the same thing typically. So you can see that there's a big margin here between the turret factory, which has got 545 here, while aluminium here is 264 at the shipyard. So you could think, oh, can't I take it from the shipyard to the turret factory? But the turret factory is actually just selling some aluminium in case people need it to construct turrets, because it's one of the requirements for turrets. And they sell it at a massive markup, basically for convenience reasons. So they're like, hey, you want to build some turrets? You'll need some aluminium. Oh, don't have any? Look, we'll sell you some here for the low, low price of 173% above market value. However, they're not going to be buying any. They're just offering that so people can build turrets. Okay, I've spotted an interesting one here. It looks like a pretty good trade. 216 for ammunition L, minus 39% under market price. And then we got the military outpost, which is paying 34% above. However, the volume on ammunition, large ammunition, is 2.5 per. So the actual credits per volume of that is pretty low. So we'd fill up and not make that great a margin on that. So it's an okay trade, but not an amazing one because of that high volume. So something to consider there. Another thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that there are some types of cargo that you might be restricted from carrying. For example, dangerous, illegal, or stolen goods. So dangerous cargo includes things like warheads, toxic waste, guns, fluorine, and explosive charges. These are considered dangerous goods, and in order to actually ship those within sectors owned by a faction, you will need to purchase a dangerous cargo license for that, which I think is 100,000 or something like that. But there's various different tiers of licenses to carry certain goods. So if you dip into any kind of like, I want to start shipping some stolen goods around, or some particularly dangerous or illegal goods like illegal drugs and stuff like that, you might need a license to do that. We'll probably get into that in a later episode when we start engaging in piracy, because I'll talk about things like dodging the guys that will scan you for illegal or dangerous goods. But we'll leave that for now, because you're not too likely to run into that, but just keep in mind if you're looking at things like explosive charges, well, carrying those could, if you don't have a license, result in fines, loss of faction reputation, and confiscation of cargo if you decide to agree to their demands to have them confiscate your cargo. Okay, I've spotted another trade here. It's not a particularly high margin, minus 12 for laser heads, and plus 24 for laser heads at the equipment dock. There's 100 demand there, and there's 101 available. It is 2 volume, but it's the credits to volume ratio is pretty good at 2,150-ish credits per volume. So that's not a bad one to do. That'll make us a bit of money pretty quickly, I think. So we'll go ahead and do that. Also, we can just purchase these guys right here. So there was 100 available, so we'll go ahead and 100 space available, 100 demand, so we'll go ahead and buy 100 there. Gain 100 laser heads for 430,000, most of our money, which is good. If we're trading with most of our money, looks like we're going to make some pretty good margins then. And it was the equipment dock that wanted laser heads at 24% above, so we can head to the equipment dock now, which is very close. It's only 8 kilometers away, so it's a nice, quick, easy trade that should be pretty good profits. Coming into dock at the equipment dock, very nice, and we can go ahead and sell goods. And these guys wanted some laser compressors. Was it? No, laser heads. There we go. And we'll sell all 100 laser heads to them. Netting us a cool 611,000, bringing us to 664,000 credits. Not too bad. Okay, so we've just about farmed out most of the lucrative trades in this sector now, just within this sector specifically, but there is still a lot of demand for some really high value cargo here, and so we want to keep some of this in mind. So screenshotting this screen right now would be a pretty good idea. But we also know that in this sector, there's things like Gauss rail factories that want some pretty high value stuff. So we can keep in mind that things like the Gauss rail factories want energy tubes, and they also want high pressure tubes, and these are pretty high value cargo. So keeping that sort of stuff in mind if we happen to come across some in the future, so a place that produces energy tubes or high pressure tubes, those we know a place that wants to buy those. Things are getting rather interesting. We have some more really high value kind of stuff going on here. We've got accelerator factories, Tesla coil, war robot factories. Those are some very high value goods right there. There's actually 2 Tesla coil factories here, so it'd be an easy place to find some Tesla coils. Let's see what is kind of like if there's anything in the sector, but we could consider some cross-sector opportunities as well, potentially. Aha, okay, alright, this is interesting. So, I remember seeing in the last sector we were in, just back down here through that gateway, that there was a place selling, and I think it was the chemicals factory, selling coolant for a very, very reduced price. Now, I just noticed that there's a war robot factory in here, and what do war robots want? You guessed it, coolant, and they want a lot of it, and they're paying a lot for it. So these guys want a lot of coolant, so that's going to be a pretty good one for us. So we're going to just jump straight back through here. Thankfully, these guys love us, so they're not even charging us any credits for use of these gateways, as we're admired with this faction. But we can go to the coolant factory now, and or the chemical factory, and get ourselves as much coolant as possible and go ahead and sell that. So let's just check here, buy, sell goods. Coolant, we can actually check in the menu. Coolant is being sold for minus 54%. This will be our biggest trade yet. So what we just noticed there, and I just noticed that from memory because I became accustomed, like familiar with the sector we were in, and then I noticed an opportunity cross-sector just from memory. The more powerful chips that you'll get, the higher rarity trading system upgrades, will actually record and show you that information. So they'll be like, hey, you've just been between these two sectors. This system allows you to record trade opportunities between two sectors, and then, hey, here's a nice trade. So that can be very handy. You can imagine how automating that process can really speed up the trading and help you notice things that you might have missed otherwise. But we did nonetheless notice something very nice here. Let's get as much of this as we can. We can buy 1,066 of this. That's as much as we can store right now. We could consider chucking a little bit more cargo capacity on our ship, but that is most of it. Let me see if I can just expand my cargo bay ever so slightly. Let me go ahead and match block here and see if I can get a slightly larger one. Looks like I'm gonna only be able to add a little tiny bit of extra cargo space. Well, we can add another 100 cargo space, because we want to buy as much of this as possible. So we're going to go ahead and buy 1,200. We can only store 1,084 of that good. That's too bad. We'll get as much as we can then. We'll get as much as we can. All right, there we go. Not too bad. So this is a very high margin. We're not spending all of our money in this trade. There's some serious pirate activity going on over there. We're not spending all of our money in this trade, but this is going to be a pretty quick trade, even though it's cross-sector, and it's a very high margin one as well. So not too bad. It's a shame we can't buy more of that, and then they're not buying more of that. But that's the reality of it, right? You're never going to be able to spend. You're not always going to be able to spend all of your money, fill up your cargo hold, and then sell all of the stuff that you buy for the highest possible margin. I think the stars will rarely align that nicely for you. Nonetheless, I'm pretty happy with finding a high margin trade like that. It is quite pleasing. Another thing to kind of note while we look for this trade just here, so the War Robot Factory, which is just over here, is that faction reputation will play a role in trading. Firstly, trading will earn you a lot of faction reputation. Each trade that you make earns you faction rep, based on the value of the trade. And as well as doing other things, defending from pirates and stuff like that will boost your reputation. But prices will be affected by your faction reputation. I don't know the exact formula for that yet, but safe to say you will get better margins if you have a good reputation with a faction. So we can see there's actually, we're starting to see other factions here. So there's a trading post from a faction that we're just friendly with, not admired. We get pretty good prices from them, but not as good as if we boosted our reputation a little bit further. So it can be worthwhile defending from some pirates for some while, or making some smaller trades until you can make those really juicy, lucrative trades at better margins. Alright, here we go. Now we're going to sell as much coolant as possible here. 1,084 coolant for 588,000. Whoa! We spent so little on that. We spent like 100k buying that, and then sold it for 500,000. Getting us to that for the first time ever. Achievement unlocked. 1,000,000 credits. Wonderful stuff. So, as you can see, you can really see how quickly that trading can ramp up, and when you notice a really high value, really high margin trade, you can see how much money you can make from that. That was pretty much perfect, right? Highest possible margins we could really hope for. A low capacity good, as in like something that doesn't take up much cargo hold, and plenty of demand for it and plenty of supply available. So, pretty damn happy with that trade. Alright, so now that we've made it to that beautiful 1,000,000 credit mark, so tasty. One more thing I want to show you guys is how you can ramp up your game a little bit with the more advanced trading chips. Now what I'm going to need to do is first obtain one. Now you can obtain the trading chips, the improved trading systems, by killing pirates, by salvaging things, by fighting Zotan, by fighting other factions, so basically as drops. or you can obtain them from equipment docks for usually a decent amount of money for the higher rarity ones. I'm talking like somewhere between 100,000 to 500,000 credits for a really good one. Now, I mentioned this in a previous episode, but there's two ways about this if you're playing single player in terms of purchasing one. So rather than farming one and hoping for a random drop, we're going to try and purchase one because we're going hardcore trading in this episode. Searching random equipment docks until you find one. So jumping around sectors as you're trading, checking each equipment dock and seeing if they have one. So we can go to buy, sell upgrades and see what's available here. They don't have any trading systems. Now, if you want to play the kind of like the ethical route, or if you're playing on a multiplayer server, then you'll need to search multiple equipment docks until you find one. However, if you're playing single player, what you can actually do is go ahead and leave your galaxy, and then reboot up the galaxy. And then each time you reboot the galaxy, it'll essentially refresh the wares of the equipment docks. So you could consider this slightly unethical, or you could just consider it part of the game, or maybe, you know, whatever. Basically, you could roleplay it out as, I'm going to wait a day in this system and see if they have anything new available. However you want. You know, when it comes to this sort of thing, do it if you want to. If you don't want to do it, you want to play the route where you search around for an equipment dock that has one, or wait until you get a drop, then go ahead and do that. Play whichever way you enjoy most. There's no real cheating in a single player game like this, right? So let's go ahead and see what they have available now. They have some white basic trading systems, which you can see only allow you to display the price of goods and view the offers of all stations in the sector, but they don't give you any sort of like ratios, like the percentages, like the current one we have. That's why I recommend the green one as your starting point, because seeing those percentage ratios is so very helpful for finding good trades. What you could do is you could actually buy a bunch of trading systems, like cheap ones like this, and if you know where a research dock is, and we can see if we have one. Looks like there is actually a research... Is there a research station? There's actually a research station in here. So that's the other way of obtaining a higher level one, is to combine 5 white ones into a green one at a research station. We haven't looked at the research stations just yet, so let's go ahead and locate where that is. There it is, it's this little beaker symbol there. So when you go into the research station, you can go to research, and then you can input 5 of a system, and it will give you the next rarity of that same system back. Now, it's based on, the way this works, is it's based on what you input into it. So every one of these you put in gives you a 20% chance of getting something of the next rarity tier back. So we've put in 5 white ones, 5 commons, and we have a 100% chance of getting a green back. Now, because we put 5 different ones in, we have a 40% chance of getting a radar upgrade, as there's 2, a 20% chance of getting a shield booster, a 20% chance of getting a turret control system, and a 20% chance of getting a cargo upgrade. So if you want to guarantee getting a trading one specifically, for example, then you want to put all trading ones in so you have a 100% chance of getting a trading chip back. If on the flip side we have 4 green systems here, if we put these 4 in, we'd have an 80% chance of getting an upgrade and a 20% chance of getting another random green back. Now, the thing is because we've also got a mixture here, we'd also have a 40% chance of it being a velocity, 20% quantum hyperspace, and 20% engine upgrade. So you want to do this a bit later on, usually once you have a decent amount of duplicates, and then you're essentially allowed to upgrade those. So we could do that a little bit by buying some from the equipment dock, buying a bunch of these basic trade systems. We could get at least 1 extra green here, but that's not going to get us very far, right? That's a very slow way of doing things, because getting 5 of these basic trade systems would give us a green, then we'd have 2 greens, we'd need to get another 3 greens in order to get the next rarity tier, so that's going to take quite a while. So I'm going to refresh my galaxy several times until I can find a higher tier trading chip. Here we go, okay, good stuff. So this was only 3 resets, and then I managed to find advanced trading systems available. So there's just 2 here. I don't know why they're listed separately. They're basically the same. But we do have the rare, which is the next tier up from what we are currently. We've got uncommon. This is 1 tier up from that. And what this will do is display trade routes in the current sector. So that will make things a little bit easier. So we'll need to go get a bit closer, I think, to actually be able to buy this. So I have to go dock with the station first. Alright, we'll go ahead and buy one of those trading systems, 130k, but now that we have about 1 million credits, that is only a drop. So not too bad whatsoever. And then we can go ahead and install that. So now you'll be able to see that third menu I talked about here, which is the view detected trading routes. So this will display in this current sector what things are selling stuff that another dock or trading post or whatever in the same sector wants to buy. So we can see quite easily right now already that one of the trading posts is selling rockets and another equipment dock is buying them. Now, we can't see a percentage, but we can see directly the credit differential. So we can see 10,000 credits and 15,000 credits buying. So that's about a 50% margin there. Not too bad, not too bad. The trades in here are not always going to be very good to go for. As we can see, there's laser heads available for 4,460, and they're being purchased by an equipment dock for 1 credit more. So you'd make like 20 credits making that trade maybe if you bought 20 of them, so not a very ideal one. Now, once you locate something that looks promising, like for example this rocket trade, I don't know if this is considered dangerous goods, we might find out here, but what we want to do then is use this eyeball to locate that trading post, because we're going to want to check something else before we make this trade. Just this information is not enough, we still have to do a little bit more work. So we can see this trading post here is selling them, so we'll go ahead and select it, and then we're going to talk to them. What we're going to find out is how many rockets they're actually selling. So they're only selling 41 rockets, so that's about 40,000 credits worth of rockets. So then we can go back to this menu and go to the equipment dock and talk to them as well and find out just how many they're actually buying. So they're buying up to 62, so we could get 40 and sell them to this place, and that would work. So how much credits are we making from that? Let me bring up my handy calculator here. So I'm making about 5,000 credits different on each one. So 40 times 5,000, and we'd make 200,000 credits from that. So that's not too bad a trade. We could totally do that. So once you locate a trade that looks pretty good and you've checked the supply and demand works, then you can go ahead and just find the 2 stations. They're actually pretty close here, so I'll go ahead and make this trade. Since they're so close, I think this is worthwhile. It's only a couple 100,000 credits at this point, but I think that's still pretty good for how close this is. This is like a 1-minute trade, so well worth doing. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and buy 41 rockets off these guys. That's 430,000 credits. And we'll see if I did my math correctly, because I am notoriously bad at doing simple math. Just struggle wrapping my head around it. Nonetheless, if I can make a profit with my math skills, then you can definitely make a profit. And we'll go ahead and dock over here and sell these rockets. If you're having trouble, again, you can just open this trading overview and just see. It'll even say here if you're carrying anything as well, so that can be handy. And then we can head on in here and go ahead and sell, not turrets, sell goods. There we go. We can sell our 41 rockets. And there we go. We got 616,000 back, so we ended up with 1.1 million credits. Not too shabby at all. That was a nice, quick, and easy trade. Potentially, that was classed as dangerous goods, but however, because we weren't near any corvettes, I don't think, or any frigates. I think that's just a salesman. So you want to watch out for stuff like, if you're carrying any dangerous goods, watch out for stuff like corvettes within like 6 to 4,000 or 6 to 4 kilometers out. They will scan your cargo depending on the faction. And if they identify something that's dangerous, they could fine you, lose faction rep, and potentially confiscate your cargo. So if you're doing trades like that, you want to try and avoid those guys and make the trade happen quickly. But that was a nice and easy and quick one to do. So with that new upgraded trading chip, we can jump between different sectors and see within that sector what trades are available. So we find ourselves in a new sector, and then we can basically just do the same thing. Open the trading overview and view the detected trading routes, and life is a lot more easier than when we were searching through these menus looking for potential trades. So we can see that we have conductors available from a trading post for 148, being sold for 219 credits to teleporter factory. And it doesn't look like there's very good trades in this sector, so we could just move on to a new sector. The good thing about this is if you just like flying around, you have a bit of cargo space on your ship, or you don't mind strapping a bit of cargo space on your ship as you go, and you're doing other things, you're looking for pirates, you're heading inwards toward the center galaxy, looking for new materials and stuff. Whenever you pop into a sector that looks particularly interesting, has a lot of stations in it and a lot of factories and stuff like that, you can just pop your trading chip in, just check out, hey, any good trades in here? Yeah, there's a good trade, let's go ahead and do that. Or not? Okay, just pop it back out and replace with another system. So really nice and easy to do. So the final thing I want to mention is that as you move up beyond this, and you move to like exotic and legendary tiers of trading systems, this gets even more powerful. As you can see right now, all this does is list the trade opportunities within this sector. So if you want to spot potential high value trades between multiple sectors, then what you'll need to do is be like, okay, is there anything in here in this list? There's like high capacity lenses, there's high pressure tubes, but they're very expensive, so they're no good. And try and locate, all right, there's solvent from a chemical factory here. Did these guys over here want to buy some solvent? You got to look back through your screenshots or just try and remember. So you got to go through that process, right? However, with the higher rarity tier chips, they'll actually allow you to scan multiple sectors and record that information as long as the chip is inside and installed in your ship. So what will happen is, let's say you have a exotic trading system, that will record 2 sectors worth of trade route potential. So what that means is, if we're in this sector and we jump directly to this sector, it'll calculate any potential trades between any of the things in here and here. So let's say there's a high capacity lens factory that wants something from the turret factory here. It'll say, hey, there's a trade opportunity right there. That's not a real one, that would be terrible, but but you get the idea, right? So as long as you jump just between those 2 sectors and not anything else in between, it'll record the last 2 sectors you've been in, your current one and the one before it. So you can jump between those using gates, or again, this is where that high hyperspace jump range comes in. You can calculate those too. And then the next tier of chip actually allows you to record 3 sectors, so you can see the best trade routes between up to 3 sectors. So that can be very powerful. So you can play many different ways this trading route. Even from the beginning, you can just kind of spot things and look at the price differentials yourself, moving up to looking at the percentage ratios and looking for good deals, remembering some cross-sector trades. You can play the roaming trader, where you just buy really good value offers and just carry them around until you find somewhere that wants to buy them for a good price. That can be a really fun way as well. Or you can play the really strategic spreadsheety way of using these high-powered trade chips and remembering and logging different trades and stuff like that. There's many different ways to trade, and lots of money to be made in a very short amount of time, just demonstrating this rather than really going hardcore and just smashing out a bunch of trades. We already made 1 million credits, which is a lot more than what we had. We had about 100,000 credits from doing some other stuff like selling asteroids and fighting pirates and getting bounties. So trading can be very profitable if you get into it. So guys, I hope you found this interesting. We'll probably only ever look at trading again in one other context, and that'll be in terms of piracy, because that's the other angle of trading, obtaining and selling stolen goods via piracy. So that might be another episode in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments or tips to share of your own, leave them down in the comments below. And if you have a suggestion for something you'd like to see focused on in another future episode, then let me know. Anyway guys, that is going to be it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thank you very much for watching.